Okay, this deep dive is specifically for you, looking at a document you shared with us. We're going to really unpack the claims made inside it about a particular domain name, ORBBZ.
That's right. The source document positions ORBBZ not just as, a simple web address, but more like a strategic asset.
Hmm.
It suggests it has real potential to speed up project launches.
Especially in those fast fields like Web3, AI, FinTech.
Exactly. Those kinds of areas.
So our mission today is clear. We're diving deep only into this document. We're not bringing in outside info. We just want to pull out the key insights and understand the value proposition it lays out just based on what the source itself says. For entrepreneurs, investors, anyone interested, really.
Yep, consider this our guided tour, strictly through the claims and the details presented right there in that specific source material you provided.
All right, let's get into it then. So what exactly is ORBBZ according to this document?
Well, the source describes it first off as a rare blockchain-verified domain name. It really emphasizes that it's presented as more than just a name. It's framed as a strategic asset.
A strategic asset. Yeah, that phrase definitely makes you pause, doesn't it? And it mentions it's available exclusively through a company called A.LAND.
Correct. That's the sole provider mentioned. And the goal, the big goal the source outlines, is helping projects bypass a lot of those traditional hurdles, the ones that are often slow, expensive.
Especially when you're trying to launch something cutting edge. Web3, AI, FinTech, Metaverse, all that stuff.
Precisely. Bypassing those hurdles is the core promise.
Okay, and that leads us right to, I think, the central claim, the one that really jumps off the page in this source material. It's pitched as being like buying a listed project for peanuts. That's a very strong statement.
It is, yeah. It's quite hold. The main argument in the document is essentially that getting ORB.BZ is supposedly like acquiring a project that's already sort of established, already in the game.
So it drastically cuts down the time and the cost you'd normally spend building something from, square one.
That's the idea. The source claims it helps you skip a lot of that initial, expensive, time-consuming groundwork that everyone else usually has to slog through.
Leveraging something pre-existing for a head start.
Exactly. That's how it's presented, leveraging something that's already there.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's dig into the specific benefits the source claims you get. The first big one is that CoinMarketCap lifting claim. How does the document explain that mechanic?
Right, this is a major point it highlights. So the source states that ORB.BZ is intrinsically linked to something called the ORB V2 token on Ethereum.
Okay.
And it then claims the smart contracts for this token are verified on Etherscan. And this is the crucial part already indexed on CoinMarketCap.
All right, let's just unpack that a bit based only on what the source implies there. Verified on Etherscan. That generally means the code is public, viewable on the blockchain explorer, adding some transparency, right?
That's the standard interpretation, yes. And the source definitely uses this verification as like part of its claim of established credibility.
And being indexed on CoinMarketCap. Wow, okay. For anyone who's launched a crypto project, getting listed there is often a huge hurdle. It can take months of effort for a brand new token.
Exactly. It's a key milestone for visibility, for perceived legitimacy in the crypto world. So the source's claim here is that by somehow getting involved with ORB.BZ, you're effectively skipping those months of complex work.
Because of this existing link to the ORB V2 token that's already indexed.
That's the assertion. It's presented as building immediate trust, saving, huge amounts of development time, marketing costs, leveraging this existing, supposedly verifiable crypto market presence.
That's a powerful claim. I mean, if accurate, it sidesteps a massive headache for a lot of projects. What about the next point? Rapid rebranding or launching.
So the source argues that because of this claimed instant credibility and these pre-existing links, you could potentially rebrand an existing project or launch a totally new one almost overnight. That's the phrase they use.
Almost overnight.
Yeah. The document claims you avoid those typical long waits for market recognition for building trust. It states you can be operational in a fraction of the time.
So instead of months building up that name recognition, the source is saying the domain itself kind of gives you a shortcut.
That's the pitch.
The document also really focuses on the domain name itself, ORBBZ, as a strategic asset, because it's rare, the branding potential.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how much emphasis the document puts on it being a 3-letter domain. It highlights that rarity, describes it as inherently memorable, globally recognizable.
And the simplicity claims means less ad spend needed just for brand recall.
Right. You don't have to hammer home a complicated name. And they really lean into the specific meaning or feel of ORB.
How so?
Well, the document unpacked this. It asserts that ORB kind of evokes innovation, things related to, AI, spatial systems, oracles, security like biometrics, digital identity.
Cutting-edge stuff.
Yeah, even the metaverse and clean energy concepts. And when you pair that ORB with the BZ top-level domain, which the source notes is recognized for business and tech uses.
Right. BZ for business.
The claim is that this whole combination positions a brand as a leader right from the get-go, potentially avoiding costly rebranding down the line.
It's like baking that modern, forward-thinking vibe right into the name from day one.
That seems to be the argument presented.
And the source then claims this gives you an immediate market edge.
That's the conclusion it draws. The document says you bypass the expensive, time-consuming groundwork usually needed to establish trust and relevance in the market.
Does it give examples?
It mentions projects like ORBs or A.LAND, implying they had to do all that heavy lifting, that foundational work, which ORBBZ supposedly helps you skip over.
Right, okay. The source document also tries to quantify these savings it's claiming.
Yeah.
What example do they use there?
They use the example of building a robust Web3 project and getting it to the point where it has some initial traction. The source states this typically takes, in their assessment, 6 to 12 months.
And the cost?
And costs somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 USD. That's the benchmark they set up.
Okay. And how does using ORBBZ supposedly compare to that, based only on what the source says?
So the source claims that by using ORBBZ and leveraging its stated existing blockchain presence and that CoinMarketCap listing, you could potentially cut that timeline by 50%.
Half the time.
And save tens of thousands in costs compared to that traditional path they outlined.
Tens of thousands. And the document mentions a starting price point for making an offer on the domain itself, right?
Yes, it states offers start at $5,000 USD.
Okay, so they're clearly positioning that $5,000 starting point as, relatively small investment compared to the much larger potential savings and the accelerated timeline they claim it delivers.
Which logically leads to the next question the source addresses. Who is this actually for? Who is the target audience according to this document?
The document explicitly targets what it calls forward-thinking businesses and also astute investors, people looking for efficiency, for leverage.
And it gets pretty specific, breaking down different groups and the supposed benefit for each one.
Like who?
Well, for Web3 and crypto innovators, the claim is about getting instant recognition with a verified asset. That CoinMarketCap link again?
Makes sense. And for AI and tech startups.
The document highlights the innovative-sounding name, ORB, and the potential to, slash branding costs.
Okay. Digital identity and security providers.
They're told it helps establish immediate trust. The name implies security, maybe.
Metaverse and XR creators. What's the pitch for them?
The memorable name, again, cutting down on marketing time, needed to make an impact.
And finally, savvy domain investors.
For them, it's pitched as a rare digital asset, something that could appreciate with high resale potential. So it's trying to paint a broad picture across different types of potential users, connecting back to your interests, perhaps.
Now, the source document doesn't just stop with the domain itself. It mentions that A.LAND, the company offering ORBBZ, also provides optional services. How does the source claim these services, amplify the benefits?
Right. The document states these integrated services can, and I quote, supercharge projects. The idea is they maximize the savings you supposedly get from building on that ORBBZ foundation.
Okay, supercharge. What kind of services? They list things like rapid web development.
Yeah. For that one, the source claims they can build websites in weeks, not months, and potentially save you up to 30% on typical web dev costs.
Custom blockchain and app development is another one listed.
For that, the source claims their service can cut integration time by months. It mentions drawing inspiration from efficient protocols like Uniswap or Mirror Protocol, so faster custom tech builds.
Okay. What about strategic branding and UI/UX design? Seems important if you're rebranding.
Definitely. They mention specific logo design packages starting around $4,000, give or take. $3,900, $4,100. And the claim is these services help avoid costly revisions and those long, drawn-out brand establishment processes.
Get it right faster. Optimize digital marketing and SEO.
Here, the source claims their targeted campaigns, maybe using AI-driven SEO, could reduce your advertising spend by up to 40%.
Wow, 40%. That's substantial. And they even mention marketing audits.
Yes, there's a mention of a free light audit, And then a more comprehensive branding roadmap service costing around $13,000 or $13,700. The claim for these audits is they could save you 20–50% on your overall marketing budget just by helping you focus your efforts better.
So the ultimate claim presented in the source then is really about combining the domain with these integrated services from A.LAND. What's the final claimed outcome in terms of time and cost?
The document asserts that if you do that, combine ORB.BZ with A.LAND's services, you could potentially launch a fully branded functional Web3 platform in as little as 2–3 months.
2 to 3 months?
Yeah.
Compared to the 612 they mentioned earlier.
Exactly. And it's presented as being for a fraction of the typical cost, directly contrasting it with that $50,000 plus figure they cited for a traditional approach without this holistic support, as they seem to frame it.
And to try and back this up, the source document includes some testimonials, right?
It does. It presents a quote attributed to an Ahmed Al-Farsi. He supposedly claims that ORBBZ's credibility, combined with A.LAND's expertise, cut their Web3 launch time in half.
Half the time, and saved money.
And saved them $20,000, according to the quote.
Okay, there's another one too.
Yeah, from someone named Kofi Mensah. He supposedly claimed A.LAND's branding and marketing saved them thousands in ad spend, with ORBBZ acting as the, foundation for their project.
So these are presented in the source as, real examples illustrating the claimed success and savings.
That's how they're positioned in the document, yes.
Okay. Finally then, based just on this source document, how does someone who might be interested actually learn more or maybe even make an offer?
The document lists several calls to action. It clearly mentions making an offer, starting at that $5,000 USD level, and it notes that crypto escrow is an option for payment.
Secure transaction option.
Right. It also directs readers to a dedicated web page for a, quote, complete overview and assets. Presumably more details there.
And contact info.
Yep, it provides contact details, an email address, and a phone number for getting expert support or maybe claiming that free light audit they mentioned.
Okay.
And it also lists specific URLs if you want to explore their web development or branding services directly.
Got it. So just to quickly recap the main claims we've unpacked from this specific source document, it describes ORBBZ as this rare blockchain verified domain. It's linked to a CoinMarketCap index token. And it asserts this provides significant advantages: speed, trust, branding for new ventures.
And those benefits, the source claims, are amplified further if you use A.LAND supporting services alongside the domain.
Right. It's basically pitched as a strategic shortcut, a way to bypass significant time, effort, and cost barriers when you're launching or rebranding, especially in that digital asset or cutting-edge tech space.
That's the core value proposition presented in the source, yeah.
So this has been our deep dive, focusing strictly on the specific source you provided us, detailing the claims it makes about ORB.BZ and its supposed value. We've really just laid out exactly what that document says.
And understanding precisely what a source claims is always the essential first step when you're evaluating these kinds of opportunities.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you, reflecting only on the potential value described in this source document we've discussed. How much is that idea of pre-established trust and a kind of ready-made market presence truly worth when you're trying to launch a new digital venture in today's market? Something to consider as you look over this information yourself.